Welcome back to Ready, Set, Sold. I'm your host, Bryan Vogt, and we've been talking with Deb Rust of New American Funding and Dave Hohe of New American Funding. And where we left off was we're talking about different options, and I think that's so important when you're talking with lenders, that you have the full array, you have every tool in the toolbox, and it sounds like from just our talks and knowing you guys that you really do, that you can give what that person needs, what that buyer needs. And just so you know, I know we're talking about buyers, it's kind of a selling show, but guess what? When you sell your home, you usually become a buyer. Okay, so that's not unusual. So this information works both ways. One of the things, though, I do want to talk about, and this is really key, and this is a pre-qualifying letter versus a pre-approval letter. And they are, in some ways, night and day on what they're actually saying. And maybe, Deb, you can maybe tell me the difference, tell the listening audience the difference.
Sure. So pre-qualification letter, basically, we talk to a customer over the phone, take down enough information to pull credit, take their income, assets, where do you think your funds to close are going to come from, how much do you think you make, hourly, that sort of thing. And it's just a plug and play. If we plug it in, it fits a loan scenario, we issue a pre-qualification letter. What happens then is they go under contract, we gather financials, they don't make what they said they made, they don't have the money in the bank they said they had. So basically the pre-qualification letter becomes worthless. So a lot of agents in the area, a lot of lenders have decided to start doing the pre-approval letter as opposed to the pre-qualification letter. The pre-approval letter, same basic steps, but we take it a step further and gather the information. Hey, can you just send me last year's W-2, last pay stub you got, most recent bank statement? We'll run that past an underwriter, and it just puts you, more vested into the game. You have a lot more negotiating power with your sellers. You're going in with a pre-approval, not just, hey, this is what you told us, this is what we think we're going to be able to do. We know at that point. The pre-approval letter basically makes it to where when they go under contract, we're just getting an appraisal and title work and closing.
Deb, and what I heard from you, and I love that point, basically a pre-qualification letter, and this is what, and hopefully the top agent you're working with knows this should be burned into their brain. Number one, it's in the contract offering. It literally says pre-approval. It doesn't say pre-qualification of when that's going to be coming in. But number two, what I heard you say is a pre-qualification isn't worth the paper it was written on. It's someone calling up, and look, this is not demeaning people or buyers and things of that nature. It doesn't mean it can't work. The trouble is when it doesn't work. Question you as a seller have to decide, is it worth that chance? Because on the selling side, I can tell you what happens is you put your house on the market, they don't have, or they have a pre-qualification, but they haven't gotten the pre-approval. And now you're on the market, or off the market, I should say, for 7 or 10 days, and all of a sudden we had a situation that we heard about not too long ago. Not all lenders are created equal. Mm-hmm. Now, they're not on top of it like you guys. And guess what? The word came back that they got nothing. Now, if you're a seller, just so you know this, there is no recourse. You took in the deal. You took in the chance. That's why it's so important as you as a seller and you as an agent, your agent, understand the difference between a pre-qualification and a pre-approval. Pre-qualification, think of it as not worth the paper it's written on. Could be, but may not be. On the other side, having that solid goal, basically, you've gotten, that they have the monies in the bank for the down payment, right, Deb?
Correct.
That they have what they say they're making. Their credit ratio is good. Their credit scores, everything is good. That is so important. Dave, I'm sure on the same side, even on the buyer side, because I can tell you there's confusion. And I think that's important of sitting down with the lender and really discussing what are we doing. Look, it's a hot market. I get that. But this isn't done by the seconds, or nor by the minutes, and nor should it be. And so rushing around, and if you have an agent that's doing that, you might want to think about that too, even if they just sold your house. And rush around with your head cut off and saying, oh my gosh, here, call this number here and take 10 or 15 minutes and then just move on and let's go over to a house and let's go buy a house. And I can tell you right now, it doesn't work very well on the real estate side. I'm sure you hear the same stories on your side. So the importance, Dave, of sitting down and talking with people.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the keys with the process is just getting it done as quickly as possible. We not only have a closing date on the contract that we have to meet, but we also have an obligation with a loan commitment to have that to the agents and to the buyer within 10 days prior to closing is typically when it happens. So the efficiency part is huge. So we gather everything up front. We get it in front of a processor and an underwriter right away. We are a direct lender, so we don't sell our loans. We don't have the typical underwriting overlays. We can get it approved more quickly, therefore close more quickly, which that's why we have a 22-day turnaround. But the upfront, speaking with the client, getting the information we need right away is key. Absolutely.
And it's key. I mean, and that's the thing that you have, and that's the thing. So it's a win-win for the seller and for the buyer, and that's the key point. The buyer knows where they stand at. There's no guesswork. We had a situation not too long ago where they had a pre-qualification. They lost a house over it. It wasn't that they couldn't have done more money, that they couldn't have spent more money, but that it was just hey, I'm thinking about doing a $160,000 house. The lender said, hey, yeah, you're good for it. Boom. Well, the buyer, good or bad, said, well, okay, I'm only approved for $160,000. That's what happened. Well, they found a house for $170,000. They tried to put a deal together, hot market. They thought they were only at $160,000. They lost the house. They were approved. They finally, when they went to a different lender, for $200,000. They could have pulled the trigger if they wanted to. They could have gotten their dream home, and they lost out. So it not only hurts the sellers and puts a lot of risk that isn't needed, but again, the buyers. I mean, and that's really who you're servicing, right, Deb?
Absolutely. I will very rarely talk sale price with a borrower. I always talk payment, just so they're on the same page. Because the reality is, every $1,000 you go up on sale price roughly adds $3-4 to principal and interest. That's nothing. But there's a huge difference between a $150,000 house and a $160,000 house. So they need to know, that you're really talking $30-40 a month difference in payment, and that's not a qualifying problem. So I'll talk payment all day long with them.
And that, boy, I love what you said there, because that is so, so true. And we hear that on our side here is again, even if you're talking, yes, $40,000, that situation, $160 a month, when you're making a $1,200 or $1,500 payment, it's not quite the same. You have to put it in ratio. Absolutely. And again, you're buying your dream home. You're buying your dream home that you might be there for 7, 10, 20, 30. We just sold a house that the owners have been there for 55 years. So you can have a life together. So that's so important. ReadySetSold.org, not .com, ReadySetSold.org, not .com. Get the book, get the information. Whether you use me or not, you care less. There's no strings to this. Get the book. This is Bryan Vogt. Listen to Ready, Set, Sold.